And what are we here for?
In a way, that's good.
Are we gonna have?
I'm pretty much staying at home. You know, a lot of projects, benches.
Good evening, Vacaville. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Vacaville Park and Recreation Commission. Today is August 6th, 2025, and the time is 6 p.m. Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gollinger?
Here.
Commissioner Kelsey? Commissioner Frazier? Commissioner Klein? Commissioner Baruman?
Here.
Vice Chair Gutierrez?
Here.
Chair Oz?
Here. And Commissioner Frazier has indicated he will be slightly late. He had another commitment but butted up against this meeting, so. Great, would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Commissioners, do you have any amendments or adjustments, or staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Great. So we have a motion to approve the agenda with a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Great. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was June 4th, 2025. Are there any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Great. So we have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 4th, 2025 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Yes, motion carries. Great. Next on our agenda is communications. I understand we did receive one communication from Starbound Theater last month, and I think that was sent to the commission. I think that's right, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Are there any other communications to share?
That was the only one.
Great. Great, then moving on to business from the floor. So this is the time to address the commission on any issues that are not on tonight's agenda and that are within the commission's subject matter jurisdiction. There's a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Does anybody wish to address the commission tonight? Great. Seeing none, I will close business from the floor. Moving right along. Let's see, the next item is our business item 8A. Director Mola, would you like to introduce this item?
Yes, good evening, Commission. So this is a citywide park improvements update, and we have our park planning team. We have Nemo, Hugh, and Tricia that will be going through several of our park projects and provide some information and give the opportunity, I think, at the end of the presentation for questions and comments, clarification. So with that, I will turn it over to Nemo.
Good evening, commissioners. I've got my team here with me tonight. I'm pretty excited to show you what we've been working on for the last couple of years.
As well as we are. We're excited as well.
Excellent. I'm going to get started with some introductions. As you know, my name is Nemo Gonzalez. I typically present the park planner report, but this is the entire team. I've got Tricia Cagiat and Hugh Hesterman, and then in the audience we also actually have our intern Francesca. She's waving at you all. And collectively we are the park planning division. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tricia.
Good evening, Commissioners. The Park Planning Division is involved in multiple park and facility project efforts. One of those opportunities is the voter-passed General Tax Measure M. Specifically, one neighborhood park per district was selected to receive enhancements. Additionally, under the city's capital improvement program, city staff identified and prioritized city projects and funding sources. While parks, recreation, and trail projects are often initiated by the Parks and Recreation Department, they can also be sponsored by any city department in response to grants, private-public partnerships, or direction from an elected leader. Lastly, park planners review projects that are funded and managed by others, such as turnkey parks by developers. When feasible, staff work to partner with developers to enter into park agreements in which they commit to building parks for development impact fee credits or reimbursement. City policy encourages turnkey projects due to the timeliness of the construction of the projects and the potential for more amenities. Overall, park planning staff use policy documents such as the general plan and the Parks and Rec master plan as guides for a strategic change and investment into the Vacaville system of parks, open space, and facilities. These categories are not mutually exclusive. A single project can fit within several of these funding sources. Tonight's presentation will cover about 15 park projects throughout the city of Vacaville, shown on this map here.
And with that, we're going to introduce a first grouping of projects to be presented tonight. As Tricia mentioned, after Measure M was passed and once the PRMP was adopted, previous Director Hubbard and the city manager at the time selected 6 neighborhood park projects to receive improvements. And with that, we'll turn it over to the first project.
Corderos Park Phase 2 is basically a revisit of Phase 1, where the amenities that we desired, the public in particular was desired to have in that park, couldn't be funded with the impact fees that were collected by the local development there in North Village. It included the basketball court, satellite picnic areas, extra trees, benches. The backstop was added as a Measure M local match, and all these things we were able to get in the Phase 2 construction through augmentation created by the Measure M projects. This project is basically complete now. We have a little bit of it that's still fenced off around the basketball court, excuse me, the backstop. The contractor had a little problem there with the fabric on it, but it's been in use now for several weeks, and the public is very happy to see it open. It should be approved by the council for acceptance, I think, in about 90 days after the plant establishment period is complete.
The next project is Meadowlands Park, which is located in District 2. The park was built in the 80s and was set to receive some upgrades. A scope for the improvements was identified in the Park North Master Plan. We did augment that. We did this for all of the projects. We conducted outreach meetings to make sure that we got a pulse in the neighborhoods of what they were looking to either include or exclude from the baseline scope that was previously identified in the Park North Master Plan. So once we finalized the amenities, we move forward with the project. Some of the improvements for Meadowlands included new picnic tables, new benches, completing the loop trail at the park, repair of the concrete that was damaged, painting of the existing shade structure along with an accessible swing. Next project. The next project is Trower Park. It's located in District 3. The department had initially attempted to apply for a grant to provide upgrades, but we were unsuccessful. So once these projects were identified as moving forward, Trower was selected for this particular district. Measure M funds allowed for us to move forward. The project scope includes a zip line, a hillside slide, spring riders, accessible swings, a skate area, a misting pad, which is essentially kind of like a splash pad, but the output of the water is a little bit less. Shade structures, decorative pavement, and some landscape improvements along with some public art. The construction of the park has already begun as of April, and it's projected to go all the way through the fall. There's an establishment period immediately after the construction. It's anticipated that the project will open up in the winter. Next slide. This one is mine as well. This is Sierra Vista Park. It's located in District 4. And this project is currently out to bid, and it's expected to be awarded within a month's time, with construction beginning in the winter and extending into 2026. Assuming that the bids are favorable, the project scope includes 2 new play structures, accessible play elements, a hillside slide, picnic areas, a perimeter loop, and some backstops. It is also being designed to receive a future modular building which would house some city programming like TGIF. That is not included in this particular phase of the project, but we are stubbing the utilities and preparing the land that will eventually receive the modular once we have the funding for that. One of the things that I wanted to highlight about this park is it's abutting a school, and there used to be a joint use agreement. And so we used to have access to some of the amenities in the school. Those went away. So largely the park is existing turf. So this is bringing some amenities to the park. Next project. This is Alamo Creek Park. It's in District 5. And despite being built in the 70s, it's still one of our most popular parks. Lots of feedback from the community about the existing trees. I wanted to make sure that if we move forward with any improvements that we weren't touching any of the trees. The project scope includes replacing a basketball court, new concrete picnic tables, addition of some game elements, a refresh of the existing decomposed granite, and some landscaping improvements that would catch some of the erosion so that in those heavy rain winters, the rain isn't washing the decomposed granite away. So this would intercept that before it got to the decomposed granite. Next slide. This is Pheasant Country Park. It's located in District 6. This park was also originally built in the 70s and had received fairly minimal improvements. All of the parks have a depreciation account, which our parks team, Wallace and his team, whenever the play equipment sort of has outlived its life, they do get replaced. But beyond that, they receive very small level of improvements. And so Measure M is great in that we get to retrofit and bring some new life into parks that have been around for a long time. The project received a good deal of input from the community. In fact, I've made some long-standing relationships with some of the community members that were involved in this project. I've got a meeting with one on Friday to talk about this park again. She's interested in updating some of the planting along the perimeter. But the project scope consisted of a new bocce ball court, a shaded picnic area, replacement of the basketball court, some additional concrete pathways to some of the amenities, the existing amenities that were sort of islands within the park. So we had a couple of picnic tables that were on a concrete pad, but in order to get to the table, you had to walk through grass, which was making them inaccessible, and we were getting comments about that. Accessibility to the basketball court, which was also a bit of an island. And one of the amenities that wasn't originally awarded to the contractor was we had planned on updating the adult fitness equipment at this park, but the bids came back a little bit higher than anticipated. So even though we included it in the plan, as part of this project, we weren't able to move it forward. And then Wallace and his team were able to secure some funding. So that is also in now as part of a separate effort that they conducted. Next slide.
The following projects are turnkey parks. Someone other than the city is responsible for their construction.
This project has a long history. Lagoon Valley restrooms, providing additional restrooms in Lagoon Valley Park was one of the few items that I would say the public who was involved with all the public outreach meetings for the park master plan in 2004 and 2005. So the one thing that they pretty much all people agreed on was that we needed more restrooms in the park. In about roughly 2005, the developer of Lower Lagoon Valley came to the city and wanted to put some pump stations in the park itself and also infrastructure through the park. So the staff at that time negotiated with the developer and said, in exchange for putting these improvements in the park, would you build a new restroom? And that was the genesis of how this restroom came about, but it was at a different site and associated with a different pump station at the time. On that left project, or the left slide that you see there, at the top right corner, actually off the slide a little bit, was where the pump station was originally supposed to be put. And at that time, the restroom, it was envisioned that they would be one building to try to minimize the visual impact on the park. That was 2005. A lot of things have changed. Now we have the sewer lift station, which is a completely different piece of infrastructure across the road from where you see the project site there on the slide. And the restroom building is going to be a completely separate building. Negotiations with the developer have been continuing recently. We did do a commission stop site to visit the site, which you see in the middle photo. Oh, that was probably 3 or 4 years ago, I think, that we visited that site just so everybody was comfortable with the new location. It's in the Rotary Grove at the kind of the southwest corner of the Rotary Grove and accessible from all around, and has good ADA accessibility from the parking lot. And on the far right, you can see the artist's rendering of approximately what it'll look like. The idea is to replicate the look of an adobe, which will match the building in the background, the sewer lift station that was recently completed. We anticipate that will be under construction in 2026. Next slide. Magnolia Park Phase 2, for me, is kind of a revisit of Phase 1. When I started with the city in 2006, we were deep into the planning for the phase that was on the west end of the Southtown Circle. And that has now become one of the most popular parks in Vacaville. And with the development to the east of Vanden Road, we negotiated another turnkey project where that developer would construct a Magnolia Park Phase 2. It's very favorable for the city in a couple ways. One is the land was already agreed to be dedicated through the development agreement. And this developer very much appreciated the promise of receiving impact fee credits, park impact fee credits for the homes. So we came up with this. This plan is pretty tightly reflection of the original park master plan. We did add the bocce courts that are in the northwest corner there, and that was because when Vanden Road was abandoned, there was an empty spot that originally was thought it was going to be part of the fire station's driveway, so it was left available. So this phase includes a large soccer field, another basketball court, the gazebo, which has a kind of a stage underneath it available to look out over the grass area, multiple satellite picnic areas, associated landscaping, benches, and a softball backstop. All this will be gained roughly at about, I think the number was about 1.2 or 3 million in park impact fee credits, but the value to the city is more than double that. So it's a very good deal for the city to progress that way. Next slide, please. Oh, I didn't mention about Magnolia. It's currently fenced. It's completed, but we anticipate the fencing will be down in about 90 days. The Owl Park Dog Park. This is the first phase of the community park in Roberts Ranch subdivision. This first phase is accessible from both internal to the subdivision and also off of Fry Road, so people from both ways can access it. It's a very unique situation where the land was provided as part of the open space that the developer needed to dedicate for ag buffer and also underneath the PG&E easement. So there's about 500 feet or so of land that was just going to be open space, but because we lost community park land at the Elmira Leisure Town Park, we said, let's see if we can make lemonade here. And so there's only about 8¼ acres of community park that's formally planned for this area, but it's within 25 acres of open space. So the general user will view it as a much larger park, and indeed it has those additional uses. So on the left, you see a photo of the small dog area. You can't really see it, but off the back is the parking lot off of Fry Road. And then on the right slide is a photo of the new paths that are within the open space. The next phase of this is our 6-court pickleball court with solar lighting that's planned for the area just south of where Marshall Road will ultimately come to a conclusion. This was, again, a good deal for the city. There was no land costs associated with it. The developer's building it at a good cost for the city. And again, it's in this case, it's not credits, but it's a reimbursement arrangement. So when they finish one segment, we reimburse them the impact fees that we've collected with each new building permit. Next slide. Is that mine? Oh, okay, sorry. So CIP, Capital Improvement Project, is what the acronym stands for. Basically, those are projects that the city manages. They can be many different funding sources. Typically, it's park impact fees, but it can also be other things too, or it can be a combination of maybe grants or Measure M or different sources of funding.
So Hugh touched on Lagoon Valley Park. It's our only regional park in the city. And the archery is one of the many sort of unique park features that's appropriate only in a regional park. With limited funds to execute any sort of improvements, city staff was successful in submitting a State Parks Department grant, which was awarded in 2022. And the grant was matched with some Measure M grant match funds. In addition to that, we augmented the budget with some gate proceed funds. So we do charge for parking because non-residents use a park because it's a regional park and it's intended to serve the region. And with the budget in place, the project improvements included a new archery target, bow and arrow stands, concrete accessible pathways, concrete benches, accessible parking stalls, shade trees, and a mound to buffer the adjacent open space, along with some new planting. The construction was completed in May of this year and was accepted by council in June, and the amenity is now open to the public.
The partner project in Lagoon Valley Park with the archery range was the improvements to the Lagoon Valley Dog Park. That was originally funded by grant monies in 2002 and operated through a volunteer group for many years until the city finally took over operations completely. One of the complaints that the public had was that it only had one enclosure. In other words, small dogs and large dogs were mixing, and sometimes the little dogs get run over, or it's, big dogs are just too energetic for them. So the first thing that the public was asking for is that we have a bifurcated park, separate fenced areas. Another thing was that the original fencing was a little bit on the low side. It was only 4 feet high. And I know my Labrador could get over a 6-foot fence without even thinking about it. Obviously, it's the responsibility of the owners to keep their dogs in check. But the large dog area then was expanded to had a 5-foot high fence in there. And that's just there's nothing really magical about 5 feet, but it was a comfort level from the public. They didn't really want to go 6 feet because it begins to feel a little bit prison-esque, if that's a word. But it was enough to keep the dogs in. So we have that. We also expanded both to the north and to the south, so now there's 40,000 square feet, which basically gave the big dogs the same amount of area to run around and romp that they had before, and gave the small dogs a little bit softer area. In the photo that's on the right, you'll see there's a picnic pad. It's not really a picnic pad, but a pad there that's designed. There's one in each of the off-leash areas for a future shade structure. Try saying that fast 5 times, that we couldn't afford in the funding. We are looking to see if we can still cobble together money to put that in. That was, again, one of the big items that the public really wanted, was to be able to provide shade, not only for those who, not only from the sun, but also from the rain, because a lot of folks who exercise their dogs come out regardless. They need to be there even the poor weather. Next slide. Play for All Park. This again is this was not a CIP project. This was a very unique volunteer project. You all received the presentation that Tom Filippi did a couple months ago on phase 2 for this project. Funding was largely provided by the land, was provided by the developer of the farms at Alamo Creek. And then Tom and the Rotary Club negotiated sponsorships and donations, lots of in-kind labor, all sorts of things to make this project a reality. What you see on the screen here is basically phase 1. It includes the track, the restroom building, the large play area, and the perimeter buildings that have the picnic areas underneath them. Phase 2, I think Tom presented, was the Challenger League baseball park that will be to the north of this, and that's actually under construction right now. And then phase 2 will also include, as a later, maybe it'd be phase 2B, another dog park with bifurcated areas and a perimeter trail to go all the way around the whole park. Next slide. Centennial Bike Park. This has absorbed a lot of my time lately with the Centennial Park Master Plan. And the very first phase of implementation of that master plan is the bike park. It's in the northeast corner of the park. It's about 27 acres, and great location because it's far away from anybody who might complain. Bike parks are usually fairly quiet, but still it provides that separation. The problem was we didn't have any money, and so we started discussions with this entity from France that makes their business model is building parks that can take additional soil, additional material, and they use the proceeds from accepting that material and the tipper fees that would have to be paid by the contractors to actually construct the park. So we're deep into this now. We have been receiving dirt. I think the first day was June 16th, I believe. We've had dirt come from Vacaville, from Fairfield, from up near Napa, multiple projects. And all told, we need 900,000 cubic yards of dirt. That's a lot of dirt. It's going to take several years to get that dirt there. In the meanwhile, we will be instituting some more public meetings to fine-tune what the actual construction details will look like. We've already had two of those meetings with the public. They were very excited. I'm excited about it too because I think it's going to be a great benefit for the city, but it is a little bit distant. It's hard it's not tomorrow. It's years down the road. So this is a unique funding source. It's not really a CIP because it's funded entirely by the developer themselves, and the approximate value to the city is about $10 million. Next slide. Now, Chamisto Park, phase 2, this was kind of a partner project with Corderos phase 2. Both were done in similar timeframes. Both of them, we had to cut the basketball court out of the first phase, just again for funding, lack of impact fees in the area. And we were able to combine, we had the same landscape architect do both projects, so we were able to combine them into one project, saving the city a little money as they were bid out as one project. It's nearly complete. The photo on the bottom right shows you can see the rebar forming for the basketball court. That now has all been poured and in place. Actually, we will be having a walkthrough of this this week, and then there'll be a 90-day plant establishment period. We believe that this same contractor who did Corderos Park will take down the construction fencing early. And there'll still be a 90-day plant establishment period, but we just kind of track. If there's any damage done, we have to determine whether it's something that was done by the residents, maybe vandalism or something like that. That's not on the back of the developer. But if a tree were to die or irrigation plug up or something like that, that it would be his responsibility to fix. So that should be coming pretty soon. Next slide.
And this is our final project that we're going to be talking about tonight. It's Decolores Park and Melaquis Montoya Center. These are a planned neighborhood park and community facility that will be located in District 3. And the project is split into 2 separate phases. Phase 1 is going to be the construction of the neighborhood park along with a 2,500 square foot community center. Phase 2, which is a big rectangle up there in the exhibit, that'll be a 10,000 square foot housing and community service department building and some site improvements that are going to serve the building so that future parking lot expansion to the right, that is a site work related to the future building that's coming in. The housing department applied for and was awarded a grant from the state. The grant was subsequently submitted and selected in late 2021. The award amount was $6.7 million. A consultant was hired and a preliminary plan was prepared and brought to the Parks and Rec Commission for feedback in 2023. City Council approved a budget augmentation which came from other grants and Measure M in 2024. The project is currently under construction document phase, and the project is planned to go out for public bidding at the end of this year or beginning of next. They anticipate that it's going to be awarded sometime in the spring of 2026, and that construction will take at least a year. So we're looking at a construction completion date of phase 1 of spring of 2027. That concludes our presentation, and we're happy to answer any and every question you have for us.
Well, great. Thank you very much for that that full presentation. I can't help just say how feeling of pride in Vacaville as you go through all of those parks. It's a pretty significant list of improvements and new additions to our park system. And unfortunately, there's a lot of communities that, struggle to be able to provide those improvements and to build new parks, and it shows. And so I'm glad that we make that list. And thank you for all of your efforts. I know that it's a lot of work involved to plan all of those parks. I do just have a few questions, and I'll turn it over to the commission as well. If I recall, correct me if I'm wrong, we have about 45 parks in the city. Is that about the total?
I believe it's 38, but some of it is a matter of definition.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we inventory about 38, 39 parks.
Well, so Measure M was really great for parks in Vacaville, and the 6 parks that you detailed in the staff report was great, and those were all funded by Measure M funds, 1 in each district. So that's 6, and we know some of the parks that we have are relatively new parks that don't really need some improvements, but what would be, in terms of Measure M funds, what's the next 6 that will be selected? Is there a plan for that next phase of parks that would need that money for rehabilitation of other parks that haven't received that level of attention?
I think that question's above our pay grade.
Yeah.
Bruce, you got any insight?
I would say that hasn't not been determined yet, and the allocation of Measure M funding based on where that funding goes, I don't think has been determined yet as well. So as we move forward in the budget process, well, we have the budget for this year, but as we continue to move forward and evaluate Measure M funding, we will continue to take a look at that, but that has not been determined at this time.
Okay.
Chair Oz, if I might, our Parks and Rec Master Plan is a resource for looking at what we know we've already identified as some needs. So we would go to that plan and see what are the next highest lit bunch of needs. Some of those are probably more oriented toward facilities, I would think.
Right. And if you could speak to that as well, just generally walk through the process of how, as you're planning these new parks, how are you planning them and aligning them with the master plan? In terms of you're programming the parks, and then you have program needs and you have the needs assessment. What's the process for that? How is it that a pickleball, a bocce ball court gets put into Pheasant Hill Park? And how is it selected there?
That's we have a very complicated algorithm that dictates that. Basically,
Using ChatGPT.
yeah, we rely heavily on public input for one.
Okay.
Neighborhood parks in the Park and Rec Master Plan, it's very well identified what types of activities are appropriate for neighborhood parks, and those we find are consistent pretty much no matter what neighborhood you're in. So picnicking facilities, a playground, some open turf area, some sort of court, basketball court is very popular. Those types of things typically are needed in every neighborhood park. And then when you get to the larger community parks, we look at how they are available across the whole city. So it used to be that we would try to say, let's get a couple tennis courts here, and here. But as you may recall, the tennis club came in and spoke and said, we would rather see a complex at one location because we mostly drive there. It's not the availability as far as being able to walk to. So the neighborhood parks are definitely a walk-to destinations, right. More oriented toward kids, younger people that just simply need to burn off some energy. And then the community facilities serve a community-wide type of need. And we try to distribute that all around. We used to have very specific standards for what those different types of things are. And in the new Park and Rec Master Plan, those have been, I don't know if I should say downgraded, but they've been reduced perhaps a little bit in importance so that they're more of guidelines. But we still follow them. We still try to say, well, the city needs more tennis courts or more swimming pool or whatever it might be. And that, again, is largely in the 2013 Rec Needs Assessment. I would say we verified that what's the direction staff was leaning on a lot of things was indeed what the general public was asking for in different places. In fact, the big thing that came out of the 2013 Rec Needs Assessment was how strong the sentiment was. So I know I didn't exactly answer your question, but I tried to give you sort of a general approach.
I can elaborate a little bit. So prior to 2021, when the Park and Rec Master Plan was updated, the previous Park and Rec Master Plan was, I think, adopted in the early 90s. And so 92. So the 2013 Rec Needs Assessment was sort of in between those two documents. When the effort began for the 2021 document, it was really just to reinforce the findings of the 2013. I think of the simplifying of the standards for the parks as allowing for us to have some level of flexibility, because one of the things that we do for every single project is there is sort of a baseline for improvements to all of our facilities and parks identified in the implementation chapter of the Park and Rec Master Plan, but we always conduct outreach beyond just that baseline scope to make sure that the sentiment is still there. There are trends sometimes that are not captured. I don't think that the Park and Rec Master Plan identifies pickleball court, but those of you who have been on the commission long enough understand that there is a big community in town that is very vocal that they want those types of amenities. And so it's a tool, but we always sort of reinforce it by getting additional input from the community.
And then my last question, so I'll start this way. So our parks, whether it's a new park or rehabilitation of an existing park, is largely comes from Measure M funds the Park Impact Fee Program, grants, and then, or turnkey parks, and then maybe like donations or dedications of sort. So you had mentioned quite a few times in your presentation and in the staff report, instances where you had plans for programming of a particular park, but there wasn't, of a new park, but there wasn't enough impact fees. Could you just generally speak to that, that issue?
I'll start, and Nemo may want to jump in here. Basically, the impact fee study that we used for many years was done in 1990, and it was it had an inflation factor in it, but it did not account for many things that changed. Didn't account for the cost of land, like tripling over that time period. And anyway, over those years, the impact fees that the city had been collecting, well, basically since 1990, were not sufficient to build the level of parks that the general plan called for. The general plan back in 1990, and as it does today, called for 4.5 acres per 1,000 residents. And so you basically just say, well, you got to acquire the land and you got to develop that to some level. And so what is the appropriate level? Can you fund that with park impact fees alone? And the answer for many, many years was no, not even close. And so we would jump through great hoops trying to find grants or external funding. Working with the developers was probably the most lucrative thing. I mean, we got some good grants too, but what they want in a development a lot of times can work with us to help provide a new timely facility. And in exchange, if we can give them something, the city ends up with a much better deal, not having therefore to go with a higher level of impact fees. Right. That all being said, the impact fees just kept going down, down, down relative to the cost of building new parks. And so in 2022, I think it was, the council approved a significant increase in the park diff, the park impact fees. And that started to bring us up, but recognize there was many years of backlog that we couldn't make up for on the backs of new residents. So I'm going to let Nemo pick it up from there because he's been involved in some of the more recent impact fee updates.
Yeah, I alluded to this earlier, but essentially impact fees can only be used to mitigate for future growth. So if a developer approaches a city and says, we want to build 1,000 homes, and we say, well, our level of service is 4.5 acres, then they need to mitigate for their population growth to serve their specific community. Any amenity like a facility that's going to serve more than just their community, they pay their portion. So if the population of Vacaville is 70,000 and they add 30,000 at full build out, then their obligation for those facilities that serve the entire community are 30%. I chose a round number, but obviously we're already at 100,000. So when we build out, we're going to be higher than 100,000 residents. And so the great thing about Measure M is that you get an influx of money that you typically don't have to upgrade existing parks that have been around for 50 years, 60 years, and make sure that it's something that's more than just standard maintenance, right? Because we've got a great maintenance team, and I mentioned earlier that Alamo Creek is one of our most popular parks, built in the 70s, very minimal improvements since the 70s. That's a testament to our maintenance team, who does a good job of upkeeping them. Having said that, having additional money to sort of keep up with trends or bring some of these things into existing established neighborhoods is a real plus. With the development impact fees, again, we're talking about new facilities that are serving those new populations. And we have instances where we have developers who are more than willing to sort of work with us and provide parks that are meeting our standards, sometimes exceeding our standards, like Magnolia. And then there are instances also where developers just don't want to. And in that scenario is where we sort of back ourselves into the corner when we don't have sufficient funds. So on the one hand, the folks that are buying the homes in those neighborhoods are wanting to know where their park is. On the other hand, we're sort of having to struggle to try to figure out what we can do with the funds that we do have. And as Hugh mentioned, we have made some good strides towards rectifying that. But yeah, hopefully that provides some context and answers at least a part of your question.
So if I can, just keeping this simple, so to rehabilitate our existing parks and facilities, we largely are relying upon Measure M and perhaps some grants if they're available, but those are always hit or miss. You never know where they're coming in. It's luck of the draw, right? And then new parks are largely come from impact fees or the development community. So they bear the cost of that. So it's important if we want to continue to rehabilitate our existing parks, we need the Measure M funds, right? And then we need adequate impact fee program and contributions from the developers to continue to expand our park system to serve the growing service, the population at the level that we've set in the master plan. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, actually, to maintain our level of service at 4.5. That is why we are requiring for the developers to either pay in lieu fees or build parks, is so that the impact is mitigated specifically with their development, as opposed to if it doesn't occur, if they don't build the park, then our population is still growing, but we've got less park facilities. And so what you see is sort of an influx of those new residents using existing facilities. And so there's greater wear, there's more traffic on the road. I mean, there's lots of implications for not having sort of an equitable distribution of a park system.
Okay. Great. Look at there, Commissioner Frazier.
So kind of a similar question is like by Roberts Ranch. So Al Park is out there, okay? And I always forget the name of the other one with the new basketball court that's going in because I run by it all the time.
Nascimesto?
Yes, that one. But then there's also these other little parks in there that I've kind of like wondered, are those just put in by the developer then? Or?
Yes, the developer came to the city and asked to put in what he's calling stroller parks. I'm speaking specifically about Roberts Ranch, but other developers have done this too. Yeah. They roam around a half an acre size. They don't meet any of our standards for new parks. There's really not enough room there to program them, but they still provide a nice benefit to the new residents. So in that case, they don't get any park credit for those. They have to pay for that by themselves. And then the maintenance is put onto a lighting and landscaping district most often, although there's some that are done under homeowners associations too.
Okay, yeah, so it doesn't go into that 4.5 acres per 1,000.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Vice Chair Gutierrez.
I'm going to piggyback on Chair Oz's question. So, Hugh, you were saying originally that the park impact fees, there were things that we couldn't account for, like what was happening in the 90s. We didn't know that there was, prices were going to increase, COVID and different things like that. So now, going 10, 20 years forward, and we know there may be, tariffs and things like that, even huger increases on things that normally may not cost that much. And I don't know construction labor and what that may look like in the future as well. What can we do as far as the amount of money from Measure M, park impact fees, or what will happen if those prices continue to rise, but the pot doesn't continue to rise to meet those demands? Then what happens, I guess?
Yeah, good question. So
Plot your crystal ball.
both in 1990 and then also in our more recent park impact fee update, there's a direction to the council to update the fee every 5 years. That hadn't been done for many years, but there was an inflation factor built in, and that's based on the cost of construction index for San Francisco. So every year, there is I think it averages around 4% typically increase. But there were some bad years where development fell off, and the direction was given to not increase the fees based on the cost of construction. So we lost that, and of course that compounds your loss year after year that you do that. And as I mentioned earlier, the cost of construction doesn't capture land values. So that really needs to be a separate discussion, is what is land doing in Vacaville? And I think I've spoken to this commission before about most of the cities around us use a state law called the Quimby Act, and that is a separate way of evaluating the value of future park land. And you're not tied to a cost of construction index because they really follow different rates. So we have the standard cost of construction index that is supposed to reflect it, but there's a little interesting note here looks at the previous year. So if you're trying to build something this year, you're not going to get that increase until the next year, which means you're already 4% behind. And that just kind of compounds through the years. But we can say that there's this 5-year recommended interval where the impact fee study needs to be updated, refreshed. Basically look at it and say, is it reality? Are we still in the right realm of what it really costs to build a park?
Awesome, thank you.
Commissioner Klein.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Chair Oz, can I just jump in 1 second on the development impact fees? So this is a great segue into, in my director's update later, I'll be talking about it, but since there's been conversation on the development impact fee, the city is actually right now going through the process of updating the development impact fees, and at the next commission meeting in September, we will be bringing a business item back specifically to talk about the update of the park development impact fee, and we'll be able to answer a little bit more of the questions and get a little bit more in-depth on the process for the updating of the park impact fees. And when I give my director's report, I'll give some information on that as well. So I just wanted to chime in because there's been some kind of questions about the impact fees, and so I just wanted to jump in and say I'll have some more of that information coming soon.
This puts it in good context. This is
Yeah, and it's a great segue, great segue.
Some of the challenges, and we can talk about that.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Klein.
So I'll reserve my questions on the impact fees. I am curious though, maybe Bruce, do we have a different funding mechanism, like public-private partnerships, or different ways of approaching like a long-term program for park maintenance, aside from the impact fees, right?
We don't really have any private, well, for parks, not at this time. We are always open to looking at opportunities for private-public partnerships to both help us build recreation amenities, park amenities. So I'm absolutely open to that. To this point, I'm not aware of any major private-public partnerships that we're working through right now. We do have, on the recreation side, we use, like, for example, independent contractors to provide a lot of our programming. We have a contract with the Performing Arts Center. So we do use private-public partnerships when we can, and we are always open to looking outside the box to find ways to provide parks and recreation amenities.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it would be a good option just for the suite of things that are in the mix, because I know, like if you wanted to build a swim, a pool complex on the side of town that doesn't have one, like I don't think we would do that with Measure M. Perhaps that would be like a P3 or some other way to be able to provide for construction and then maintenance. Because modernly, we're not really building those massive, I call it massive. I mean, compared to Cordell's Park is a basic offering park, I think was in the agenda. So if you wanted to build a more substantial park, though, it would be a little bit more like Centennial, the way that we have gone about that, right?
Yes, again, we would look for opportunities also for large corporations to work with us to be able to provide things like naming rights and sponsorships and things like that. But I'm absolutely always open to opportunities to work with the private sector to bring both parks and amenities to town.
Yeah, it seems like the naming rights would be an option. I mean, Play for All, for instance, I bought a couple of bricks there, and I assume that like helps with the maintenance with that program. And so I was just wondering why more parks aren't doing that, just for, you know, the sake of sustaining the maintenance program. I guess that's more of a comment. But thank you for the presentation. My last question is about the tree canopy in some of these parks. It looks like you know, like our older parks from the 70s have a really mature canopy and a lot of shade. The Alamo Park, for instance, is like one of the best examples, I think. Is there like a constant vocabulary of trees, or just like a, you know, a set of trees that work well in Vacaville? Because I know in other parks you see, like, you know, eastern redbuds, which aren't shade trees.
Yes, of course. Native trees do well in Vacaville. So, and there's a continuing effort, I would say, more toward native trees, but we don't want to also restrict our plate of too many of one particular species. Alamo Creek Park, for example, that had all those existing oak trees were there before we bought the property. When that was planned for a school, that was actually one of the impediments to building the schools. You'd have to cut down all the oak trees. So it actually worked out very nicely. Dreamers Park is another really good example of existing trees that we took advantage of. And we went through that 3.5 acres and we said, that one we want to keep, that one we want to keep, that one's not good enough, it's got to go. So in every case, trees are very important to our team. We look to try to maintain any existing trees that are healthy and ready to you know, to keep in there. That being said, there's also the new trees that we want to provide, you know, plant as many as that are practical. They need to be maintained, which requires irrigation. If they're a non-native tree, it requires trimming. I'm sure Wallace can talk about that a lot. But there's a difficulty in the cost of those. So typically a 15-gallon tree is a pretty small tree. Comes in a 15-gallon container. You pop it in the ground and you think, oh, this is going to provide shade in a 30-foot diameter. Well, yeah, but that's 15 years in the future. And so some of the commercial businesses will actually plant them way too close together just so that they get that, not instant shade, but faster shade. You can also plant a much larger tree that's in a 24-inch box or something, but that's 4 or 5 times the cost. Yeah. So it's a balancing act. Corderos, we tried really hard to put as many trees in there as we could, but for practical reasons, we had to cut back on them. Yeah. And we're planting, and we have plans to put in more.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only real example. And Play for All, I take my kids there. But that just comes to mind to me as one of the most consistent things. The newer parks, having fairly small kids, I just know a couple of them, and kids love a splash pad. And in Vacaville, good Lord, I mean, right now a splash pad like in every home would be nice, but at least at the park. And as for the tree, I get the trees, a program like that, I get the same thought that if you had maybe an opportunity for the neighbors to be involved in donating or doing something to engage in some sort of a tree planting volunteer type thing. But I am, you know, cognizant that that's probably a nightmare to manage. But I think, you know, people would want to be involved in their neighborhood maybe.
It can certainly be done. It needs to be done with oversight. For example, with the native trees that were planted in Centennial Park a few years ago with our partners over in Solano County. We put in over 1,000 new trees there. And last time I checked, only one of them had died. That's outstanding. And these are all with temporary irrigation, and they were planted by volunteers. So it can be done. But like I said, you need to have someone who can manage that and make sure that it's not going to be a maintenance problem down the road, the trees planted correctly. I got to share one example of, we were working with the Rotary to plant trees at Centennial Park around the, at Lagoon Valley Park, around the little basin. And they corralled, the Rotary Club corralled some people that were just walking by and said, come on in here, plant a tree. And this one young man dug a hole about 4 feet deep and stuck the tree in there. And next I saw it, the tree was poking out of the ground about 2 feet. And I'm like, whoa, it needs to be done with oversight, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah,
'Cause not everybody knows how to plant a tree.
I was thinking it might be more trouble than it's worth in some instances, but I don't know. I think having some pride in your neighborhood to instill those opportunities for the neighboring community would be great. The last comment is the comment on the tennis courts from the tennis club in terms of wanting a complex. And I don't want to say that sports are just, boy-girl specific, but tennis is a great, as a father of girls, tennis is a great option, a more feasible option than like basketball for when you're trying to teach your daughters about sports. So I just think that, some of the parks, it seems like there's just like there's like a boys-specific tilt to it if you only have certain kind of sports. So I think notwithstanding the tennis club's view about having a massive complex, I think, communities like, if you spend much time in Berkeley or Davis, you have like little pocket parks that have tennis facilities or something that's a little bit more accessible for different types of genders and ages. So I would just, maybe take with a grain of salt the comments about the terrific tennis facilities around the community. I think you should continue to think about other options than just basketball or soccer for massive parks. That's what I have. Thank you.
I have just two quick questions before we let you go. At L Park, we have, I'm really excited about the 6 pickleball courts that will be lit. That'll be sort of like a pickleball complex if you will. Remind me our plans for any other pickleball courts around in our future parks, or is that?
So there's a few parks that are incoming here. There's North Village Area Plan 2, so just north of Corderos Park. That will receive a neighborhood park, and I would venture to say that when we do get started on that eventually, when a consultant is on board, we'll conduct some outreach to see what the community wants to see out there. But typically we are, just to partially respond to Commissioner Klein's sort of request, we typically look contextually to see what is around in some of the nearby parks, and we don't duplicate amenities. So for instance, if Corderos Park already has a basketball court, it's unlikely that this new neighborhood park that's going to be just up the road is also going to have one. We'll typically try to put something that is complementary to that as sort of a concept, and then we'll bring it to the community, get their input just to make sure that we're of sound logic and that they agree that this is the kind of stuff that they want to see in their park. And a lot of these parks that we talked about today, we brought sort of our idea of what we thought would be good in the park, and they responded, and in some cases they reinforced what we were thinking, and in some we changed the programming. The bocce ball court that went in at Pheasant Country, that was a community request. There were some older folks that lived in that neighborhood, and they said, we want something for us, and that's what we ended up providing them because that's what they requested. So we're cognizant that we have to provide sort of a diverse offering in terms of programs, amenities, and we are responsive to what the community wants. And then eventually when all these future parks come to you all, North Village AP2, Vanden Meadows is also another one. There's going to be public outreach, and then eventually those sort of master plans will come to you as well.
Yeah, I'm glad to see the movement on adding more pickleball courts. I know when the pickleball community came to us, they were really wanting more facilities, and we were very behind our neighbors and other similar sized cities and park districts and stuff. So I'm glad to see that we're making progress and serving them. My last question, I did visit the new archery range at Lagoon Valley, and it's just spectacular. And I remember we took the tour of it a year before and now after, and it was really dramatic. But one of my big things is just, I think it's important that we make sure that our community is just simply aware of our great facilities, and they are sometimes spread, and you have to sort of find out where they're at in these different parks. What type of outreach? How are we getting it communicated that we have this new facility and making sure that it tries to get used? I mean, if I do archery, do I know of this new field, or are we programming it well in recreation and stuff?
Yeah. So it varies from project to project, I would say. For the archery specifically, we met with a lot of sort of folks that have been participating in archery. I could be wrong, Melody or Elizabeth, you can confirm, but I think we used to have an archery program. And I think that's how the department made some of the contacts that we were connecting with when we were working with a consultant to come up with the program. So what exactly we were going to improve about the old archery. And so we were getting their input real time. We were in communication with them specifically. And then when that specific project was done, I did try to make an effort to do sort of a grand opening, but I got a little busy with other things. And so I think we did some social media blasts, but that's how we got the word out that the park was actually, or the archery project was open and available to the public.
It's a great facility, but it's a good facility, but to make it a great facility, it has to get used. And so we have to, try to make sure that happens. So great. Any other questions before we let them go? Great.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
Shooting that archery. My nephews use it because they're hunters. So they tell the ducks are limited, so they tell all their friends and everything. So the hunters love that place because that's how they kill Bambi, I guess. But anyways, they use the heck out of it, and it looks really nice out there, especially for the new homes that are going out there. That park's going to be used quite a bit, and that came out really nice, Nemo.
Yeah, I agree.
Chair Oz, make sure we open for public comment.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. I'll open it for public comment. Anybody like to comment on this particular item? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for the reminder. All right. So we'll move on to committee reports. Our first reports from Commissioner Bruman on the Vacaville Arts and Cultural Alliance. Commissioner Bruman.
Yeah, we had a meeting on July 8th at the Hyatt Place in Vacaville. And Visit Vacaville was there representing, as Kai is in the audience. Just to review some, they went over, they're going to, Visit Vacaville is working on the art trail update, was the review of the existing Vacaville art trail and identifying some new potential installations and potential additions to the trail. Also Visit Vacaville on the parade update, the cows in the parade, the plaque installations and dedications. They're working on that. Plans for future cow projects also. And just a report for myself, I overlook Gertrude, which is on the town square. She's doing fine and not getting abused too bad. Families are letting their kids taking pictures and all that good stuff. And every time I go, hey, don't chime in on her. But, I just let them do their thing. Mama's on it. But it's doing great. It looks great out there. The other thing they went over was, let's see here. As you guys know, I'm sure the staff's going to talk about Creek Walk. The conjunction was sold out, and that's the last one coming up here. Everybody's looking forward to it. The city mural reveals, the murals downtown are looking really great. I missed the revealing, but I heard there was a lot of participation in that. The other thing was, I guess Dia de los Muertos is coming November 1st. I guess they're pretty getting ready for that. And also, as far as the downtown bid, they're having their farmers market from 8 to 12 on Saturdays. So that's the August date. So let's get that through before it gets too hot. And then also the bid is having a big car show, the Shakedown. So and that's August 31st. And if you guys have some vehicles you want to put in there or want to be a vendor, contact the bid and they'll help you with that. Then also Jazz Festival weekend's coming up September 20 to 21st. A lot of stuff going on downtown. We were missing a few people at our meeting, but other than that, things are happening, and as the staff knows, you guys are busy. And but it was a great meeting, so continue on. Thank you.
Great. Any questions of Commissioner Berman? All right. Our next report is on the Play for All Committee. However, Commissioner Kelsey is not in attendance. I don't know if staff has any updates.
I'll look to Hugh. Do you have any updates? I think probably not since the last meeting.
Just as I mentioned in my report, Challenger League Baseball is underway. The construction is underway. Vacaville Excavating is working with the committee to make it work with the grant monies so they won't have to pay them up front and then get reimbursed, which is a major coup. So that's going forward very nicely.
Great. And I know Tom Filippi reached out to me. I do know that he did last week, or was it earlier this week, provide a tour of Play for All to Commissioner Kelsey. And so they probably had a good conversation and stuff, so. Great. On this topic, I do have one question and thought. Director, you and I had talked about this, but the pavilions at Play for All Park, I understand are not reserved. They're first come, first serve basis. But I noticed that they weren't really listed on the website as another offering. So it's something to think about. They might be first come, first serve, but if I'm a resident wanting to get access to a pavilion or a picnic shade structure, it's not listed. So we might want to think about that because I actually bike out there quite often, and every time I'm out there, they're empty. And I just think these are great pavilions, and I'm just starting to wonder if they're getting used or not.
Absolutely. We can take a look at that and see how we can promote that more for use. Great suggestion.
But still respecting, I understand there was a wish to keep that as not pay, it's first come, first serve basis. Great. Wonderful. Moving on. Our next report is on the Youth Sports Advisory Team, YSET, Commissioner Gollinger.
We met last week, I don't know, the school's almost starting, so I can't keep track of anything. Met last week with Elizabeth and Jennifer at the Three Oaks Community Park, and we talked about why YSAT. Why does YSAT even need to exist? And I kid you not, these women handed me a stack of paper like this it's thick. And I went, oh, I get it now. It's very complicated what they do, and they do it very well. I am incredibly impressed by how they manage all the entities who need to use our fields and spaces, and in addition to the programming that we as the city are doing at the same time. It's a wonderful problem to have that we are so over full. Yay, Vacaville. Our kids are absolutely getting involved in sports, and they're having fun, and they're learning teamwork, and they're doing all those things, and YSAT is helping facilitate that. So yay. Our next official meeting will be August 27th. And they're actually going to come to Parks and Rec next month to give us a presentation to tell you about why YSAT is so awesome, why the team YSAT exists. And congratulations on the Pony World Series that took place 2 weeks ago, I think. Simi Valley took the win, and it was awesome. What else? The Vacaville Girls Fast Pitch Softball is currently at Nelson Park. They have outgrown Nelson Park in a big, big way. Yay, girls softball. So everybody put their heads together to see what to come up with solutions for next season. And so starting next season, so not this one, they'll be moving to Alpatch. So that's great for them. It's great for us. It's going to be it's great to see programs outgrow their current fields. That's a good problem to have. So that's about it. It was a really great meeting. I'm excited for the 27th to meet all the presidents or whoever they send from their different sports organizations, and really work with these guys to get more coordinated and more. You cannot be too coordinated, right? And that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for Commissioner Gollinger? Great, we look forward to the YSAT presentation next week. You get to know them more and see how we can best support them, so. Moving on to reports of the park manager. Good evening, Wallace.
Good evening, how are you?
Good.
Good evening, commissioners. Have something special for you at the end of this presentation, Chair Oz, so hang on to your seat.
Oh boy.
I'd like to take a few moments to update you on several projects that we've completed since our last meeting. With one exception, all of these were resurfacing efforts aimed at maintaining or restoring the safety and usability of our recreational facilities. The exception involves the conversion of an underused space to better align with the current community interests. We're going to start with Alpatch Park. This is one of the most significant projects that we undertook this fiscal year on the resurfacing of the track there. This is the first time that the track has been resurfaced since its original installation nearly 20 years ago. While the original surface held up admirably, wear and tear had reached a point to where both safety and performance was being compromised. The new surface and repairs address these issues and have greatly improved the overall appearance and usability of the track. Should buy us about 10 more years also before any other resurfacing needs to be done. Next, we completed resurfacing work at several locations as part of our regular 7-year maintenance cycle for sports court surfaces. These included the tennis courts at Hawkins Park and the basketball courts at Three Oaks and Beelers Parks. Each of these projects ensures the courts remain in safe, playable condition and continue to serve their intended purpose for the community. Finally, and perhaps most welcomed by the community, we've repaved the basketball court and converted a rarely used volleyball court into a new pickleball court. There's your pickleball.
Oh, great.
The basketball court had developed extensive cracking, requiring full repaving rather than the simpler crack and fill and resurface approach used elsewhere. Based on our observations, the volleyball court was being used very infrequently, and interest in pickleball has continued to grow, as you know, across all age groups. The new court has already proven to be a hit. This was a cost-effective way to make better use of a space and respond to how the community is actually using our facilities. And that is the end of my presentation. Any questions or comments?
Great. Well, it's wonderful to see that pickleball court. I know a couple years ago, the pickleball community was literally going out to a tennis court, bringing their own nets, striping it to be appropriate for pickleball. And they were having to do that setup and takedown. And so providing these dedicated courts, they're going to just love that. So it's great.
We were pretty happy to be able to provide that.
Yeah.
So.
Any other questions for Wallace? Great. Thank you, Wallace. Next, we will move on to reports of the Recreation Manager, Melody Land.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. I've got a few updates for you this evening, and Tracy's pulling up my slides here just momentarily. We go, and you can just skip that first. Yeah, there we go. So as was already mentioned this evening, Confunction is happening this Saturday. We are very excited. Staff are getting everything in place and ready, and we're just highly excited. We are sold out of our VIP seats. However, we do still have general admission. And I highly recommend that folks grab those tickets now. They are only $25 if you buy them by this Friday, and they go up to $30 if you wait till the day of the concert. So great price either way, but certainly save yourself a couple bucks, especially if you're bringing multiple people out. So I hope to see you out there. Coming up later this month on August 14th at the McBride Senior Center, we have a Senior Citizen Day celebration, a day dedicated to honoring and appreciating contributions and achievements of our older adults in society. So this is just a fun gathering, way to celebrate, have a little fun get together, socialization, and really just celebrate all our wonderful seniors in our community. Next. Also at the McBride Senior Center, we are continuing our free senior computer basics courses. We've had our first cohort conclude in the middle of June, and it was quite successful. We are offering this for a year. This is grant funded by the Public Utilities Commission. And one of the great things about this is not only are folks able to get computer skills, but then those who are income qualifying get a free Chromebook at the end of the course if they attend 75% of the classes. That's 6 out of 8 of our classes. And most we're finding, want to come to all of them because we're actually teaching them how to use that Chromebook along the way. So then they get to leave with the skills and the equipment. It's really great. Waiting lists have started, but again, we have a full year of classes to offer. So there's more space. Definitely want to see more people signing up for future months. Next. 50 plus. However, not that we don't have a lot of extra room, but if there were, we do have the permission from the grantee to enroll some younger participants. But you might have to, really battle with some seniors for those spots. I don't know that they'd be any actually available. And we're also excited to announce we have an increase in our ability to offer gymnastics parties. So we've always kind of offered this, but you've only been able to kind of have one group there. Now we can offer 2, kind of double the fun. This is a amenity and a service that a lot of families have taken advantage of. They love having parties at our gymnastics center, and the staff took the initiative to clear out a storage room that was just underutilized and turn it into a birthday party room. So now 2 parties can go on at once, which just means more fun for more people in our community. Next. Little summer camp wrap up. So just wanted to highlight, we've got a few pictures rotating through there. We just had a great summer. Wrapping up, we're in our, for most of our camps, this is our last week. We do have a few days right before school starts next week, but we had over 3,000 participants coming through camps. We offered 238 sessions, and that word cloud you see there is just, we'd be here all night if I named everything and every program and everything, but Camp Splash, Camp Adobe, Sensory Camp, Art Camp, Cooking Camp, we had a wide variety, and we've been having a lot of fun this summer. Quick highlight, one of our camps, but also an ongoing year-round program is 707 Diving. And we wanted to highlight some of our amazing divers that have been participating in this program. So there's 2 young men that you see here in the photo. They went to the USA Diving Junior National Championships. And Liam Mayer, he completed in the semifinals last weekend, placed 25th in the country. He only started diving a few years ago in 2021. And then another participant, William Johnson, ranked 40th in the country, and this is his first year diving. I mean, we have an amazing program. That is just blew my mind when Elizabeth actually shared that through our instructor, Quentin Mendoza, who just does a great job out there. And it's very exciting when we get to highlight these participants who are just achieving great things and representing Vacaville on a national stage. Next. Teen Advisory Board. So this, if you've probably heard of already, but this is our TAG group. This is our teen leaders in the community who sign up. We are taking registrations through August 25th. And we do, anticipate that there might be an extension of that as needed, but we're going to hit them hard when they're back in school next week. We are encouraging more teens to join the team, gain some leadership skills, make friends, get involved in some of our event planning, cross off some of those community service hours that they're required to do. And a lot of them we're seeing are, coming into and starting to then maybe get a job with the city of Vacaville as rec leaders. So, jumpstart to a career there in the future.
Great.
Yeah. TGIF open enrollment. Speaking of coming back to school, we do still have some openings in a few of our program sites. So one of the great things about TGIF and things that we like to highlight are small group sizes, the homework help, the fact that we are offering programs during school breaks, days off school, things like that. And then it's a low cost, and we do even offer scholarships to make it even lower for those families who need that additional assistance. And then, of course, we're just continuing the summer fun at Open Swim. Even though the summer's not open, I wanted to make sure everyone knew that we will still be open on weekends and holidays through September 28th. So don't pack up your swim trunks yet. Keep them out. We all know it stays hot in Vacaville. And I wanted to just remind folks that the pool will be open for Open Swim in the afternoons from 1 to 4:30. And I put the fees up there. So come on out. Don't be shy. Still head out to the Walter Graham Aquatic Center. And those are my updates. Thank you all for listening.
Great. Let's see, Commissioner Klein.
I just want to give a quick shout out for the gymnastics private party. My 9-year-old's party, her last one was there, and it's a terrific feature that was offered. I didn't know they did it, and really nice program.
It's so fun, and it wears the kids out, so it's
Yeah,
bonus.
the parents are all very happy.
Yeah.
You've got the pizza right, in the same area. It's a really great venue. So
Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gollinger.
Congratulations, really well done on the summer program, and all the things you did over the last few months. I loved my calendar that you gave us last meeting. I had it on my refrigerator, and there was actually a laser tag party in the park right behind my house. So I appreciated the heads up because it was awesome. Just a quick question. What's the age group you're looking for TAG?
I believe it's third. I'm gonna make sure and get it right and look at Elizabeth. 13 to 17.
Oh, 13 to 17? Okay.
Teenager.
And I assume you work alongside Vaca High and Wilsey Wood to reach out to students who might be.
Absolutely. We have a teen center that we reported on previously that just reopened at Vacapena Middle School.
Oh, yeah, I saw the doors open when I drove by tonight and I was like, what's going on at Vacapena? So.
Fun.
Yeah, fun, apparently.
Teen fun.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you so much. That's it.
Of course.
Yeah, are you?
Am I on?
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Secretary.
It's always so exciting to see. I mean, even just from your recap about the girls softball being full and just seeing kids. I mean, just when I started this commission, it was fresh coming out of COVID and we're trying to get those numbers up. And so it's super exciting. And I love that you're thinking of the teens and possibly getting them into future positions, because I know those have been difficult for you guys to fill, and part-time and things like that. So I love all of that. Question about Creek Walk, because I know you guys have put out for the beer tent, like it was out for bid, and I know there's a group doing it. And I'm sure you guys have saw or either heard, I just saw on some of the community channels that the lines were long and there were a lot of things not available. And so I don't know, are you guys going back and giving that feedback, or will it go back out to bid for, I don't know, I don't want to advocate for someone not to continue, but I did hear some of that, and then people call me because I worked the beer truck many years before, and like, did you see how long the line was and how long it took? And I'm like, well,
We've certainly been making improvements and meeting with the vendor to give the feedback, absolutely. So sharing with them and letting them know ways that they can make improvements. And so that's where we're at. That's where we continue to, well, hopefully that improvements continue to happen. We're not at a point yet to determine if there's going to be a bid next year or not.
okay, yeah. I know it was a headache and, you know, for the bid to handle, and it's nice that they kind of got out from under that, but we don't want it to affect the customer's experience.
Absolutely.
Either, so glad to hear that you guys were giving that feedback.
No, we want to see short lines. We want people to be able to get their beer and wine for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Seeing no other questions, thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
We'll move on to reports from the director, Director Mulder.
All right, good evening once again, commissioners. I just want to mention, I was out at the aquatic center and I saw those two fine young men just practicing their diving, and it was unbelievable, the somersaults and the different moves that they could do. It was very impressive. They're going to be in the Olympics in a few years. So it was really cool to see. I think Tracy's going to be putting up a couple of items here. So just a few things to report on. One of them is we are planning a commission facility tour coming up this fall. So I know Tracy has emailed the commission and we're trying to finalize a date for that. So a couple of dates that have been thrown out there is Saturday, September 27th or Saturday, October 11th. So we're not asking for your feedback right now, but take a look at your calendars and see if you can respond to Tracy and let us know if either one of those dates will work. If they don't work, we will continue to try to come up with another date. I think that the October 11th weekend is also Columbus Day. Things that could be challenging, but it is one of the dates. So yeah, we are also looking at what we have planned for that facility tour. So if you have any specific thoughts on facilities or parks that you would like to see, please reach out to me and we will see if we can fit that in. One of them will be the new teen center that we just talked about. We'd like to show that off. Some of the improvements at Lagoon Valley and several other parks and facilities that we have. So some of them, many of you have been to and seen before, but we would like to continue to show how we're using these facilities and operating them. So, so please take a look at that and let us know what dates will work. Another item that we mentioned earlier that I said I would segue into is that the city currently is going through this development impact fee update process. So I know that Tracy did reach out to the commission about one of the community, or maybe one or a few of the community meetings that have taken place. So there has been several public meetings on this particular topic, especially with the development community. And some important dates for the project schedule coming up is August 25th will be the final kind of public meeting with the development community. These meetings are open to the public, and Tracy will again send out an email on this. If the commission is interested in attending, just please respond so that we don't have a quorum attending, but you're welcome to attend. All of these meetings also are on the Vacaville City website, and it's under community development, and you go under, well, look, we're popping it up right there. So under fees, and then there's a section that goes to development impact fees. And there, when you get to that, there's just whole plethora of information on the Nexus study for development impact fees, a whole section on the park impact fee section, all of the different meetings that have been, the public meetings are on there. So they're recorded Zoom sessions. So you can click on those and you can actually see what has been presented and the feedback that has been received. There's FAQs. So it's a great informational item to be able to learn more about the development impact fee process. And with that also, I just wanted to mention that we will be bringing this to the September meeting regarding specifically the park development impact fee and the implications of that fee. And it is from the 2022 fee, it is going up considerably because when you do the Nexus study and you put in the level of service for the city of Brentwood, that is, or city of Brentwood, sorry, I go back to my last position sometimes. If you look at the level of service with the city of Vacaville and you look at what has been the goal of the general plan and the Parks and Recreation Master Plan and all of the extensive community outreach that is done, that has identified all of the parks and facilities and trying to keep up with that, it does show that future development has to pay its fair share, and which shows that that fee does need to be increased. So we'll be going through and walking you through that process on September 3rd, so you're aware. And then the final couple meetings on that schedule, on September 23rd, the council will have a study session, the city council, and then on October 28th, the council will consider taking action on the development impact fee. So more to come on that in September, and please take a look at that website with a lot of great information on there. And then, so that's the development impact fee. I also want to mention, we had, I think at the last meeting, we talked about the Arts Cultural Master Plan. That item will be going to the city council on Tuesday evening for review and consideration and hopefully approval as well. So we're moving forward with the Arts Cultural Master Plan as well. So those are a few updates that I have this evening.
Great. Any questions for the director? Great. All right. Thank you, Director. So moving on to reports of the commission. Commissioner Ruman, would you start us off tonight?
Sure. I just want to wish everybody, hope everybody had a great summer. And it's getting hot in August. I guess Fraser's hanging out in the water, huh? But anyways, I just wanted to say it's glad to be back and a lot of things happening and you guys staff are busy. It's amazing how many kids were, oh my God, 3,000. That's crazy. I mean, even though you feel like Vacaville is small, but we're actually really big and everybody puts their hearts out, like even Parks and Rec, everybody, you guys all do great jobs. And then I just commend you guys for all the hard work. Thank you.
I would echo that. It's a lot of kids are getting some positive alternatives in the summertime, and sad to see it over. Really, I hate the commute to the kids to the school every morning, but here we are. So I don't want to go back to school either, basically. You guys have done a great job with our kids over the summer, and wish you could do it all year.
Commissioner Fraser.
So yeah, just a couple things that I could kind of point out is, again, the parks you guys are doing an awesome job. Just running around and seeing all of our parks and visiting, and they're really great. But the farmer's market is really good. It's a lot bigger than it has been in past years. And so I just wanted to kind of point that out. It's a great Saturday morning. And the murals look awesome. So I've seen those and they are just really terrific. And again, just like you were kind of talking, the pool is busy. And aquatics, you're never too old to learn how to swim or to participate in diving, because Quentin is an awesome diving coach. And we also have some great swimming coaches and teachers for lessons for adults and kids. So anyway, you guys are doing great. So
Great. Commissioner Gollinger.
Really busy month of June. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in forever.
I know.
School, just a reminder that school is starting in Vacaville on Thursday next week. So get your shoes on. Let's go. Let's run. Myself and Vice Commissioner Gutierrez and Vice Chair Gutierrez and Chair Oz, we had the joy of spending an afternoon at Pride in the Park in June. And it was great to see the entire, just a huge cross-section of people, young, very old. We had a great time. I really, really appreciated it. It was nice to see the Mayor Dixon there, and it was a certain select council members. It was great. Otherwise, it's warming up, but that's about it. Yeah, looking forward to August.
Already halfway through.
I know.
Vice Chair Gutierrez.
Yes, echo. It was a great June. It was awesome to see the two of you there. A couple other faces that were there as well from the city, and it was an amazing day in the park. I really want to thank Chair Oz for being in all of the places. I've been knee deep in home improvements, and me and my husband have been trying not to hurt each other in the meantime, so I have not been available to do anything, but I love the fact that you've been at all the meetings and the baseball field and the softball field and everything, and always available to kind of give a heads up about what's going on and pushing things when we don't even know you're pushing things for us. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your leadership. And yeah, back to school. So I was at the outlets and it's already packed there. So if you haven't got out there to start your back to school shopping for your kids, yeah, good luck to you. And yeah, I look forward to next month. Now we're getting back on track. My husband's like, wait, where are you going? Like, yeah, remember that thing I have every month? But yeah, it's nice to see everyone and excited for this next half of the year.
It has been a busy summer, and it's also been a great summer, and it's been great because, in part because of all the great work that this team does for our residents. So I say thank you, and I'll continue to say thank you because you deserve it. Just a few things. I actually, in June, had the opportunity to participate with Councilmember Wiley and the Southtown Collaborative. They're a neighborhood association, and the city's doing a great job of creating, trying to encourage new neighborhood associations and support them. And we had, in Southtown Collaborative, had a wonderful family fun day in Magnolia Park. It was a Saturday in June, and we had just sort of an area of the park that was set up for families, primarily young kids, and a whole bunch of different activities. And so Councilmember Wiley and myself and some of the other members of the collaborative were really enjoying just getting down into the grass and playing with a lot of these kids. And it was, we actually probably had 120, 130 family members come and participate. And also what was just wonderful is the park was just filled. Every space was being filled. And so it was just great. It was just a great day to see that our parks are really serving on multiple levels. So, but I just wanted to thank staff for supporting the Southtown Collaborative and specifically all the neighborhood associations in their efforts, and it's working. So I think they look forward to doing more activities like that. And then I also attended the opening ceremony of T-Ball last month with Councilmember Silva Stockton and Vice Mayor Chapman, and that was wonderful. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that effort. That was a great event. And also, I do just, I'll echo the sort of the comments of the director that the upcoming update to the Development Impact Fee Program, particularly the Park Impact Fee Program, is probably one of the most consequential actions that the council will take beyond probably adopting the Park and Recreation Master Plan. So I'd encourage all the commissioners to do spend some time at that website and to be prepared for the upcoming meeting next month, because it is a big deal. And then lastly, we are privileged to have our new city manager, Savita Chowdhury, in the audience. I wanted to just say welcome to Vacaville, or welcome back to Vacaville, and it's great to have you. I don't know if it's appropriate to see if you'd like to make any comments or stuff to the commission, or no?
Well, good evening, commissioners, chair, vice chair, and the commission members. I hope you can hear me. I'm glad to be here back in Vacaville. It's officially about a month now, and I'm really excited to work with all the teams. Bruce has been a great partner. I've been working with him on diff fees, and he's been keeping me up to date on a lot of announcements that he made here today. So looking forward working with all of you and connecting with. I have requested Angelina, my executive assistant. Feel free to reach out to her. I would be more than happy to go out for a coffee, lunch, or just have a chat to understand what your vision is, and so we can then collaborate together and move forward.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Welcome. Well, that's all I have. So there being no further business, we'll adjourn to our next regular meeting on Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and good night, Vacaville.